What's going on, guys? I am Toxic Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be jumping into the 10th anniversary friend summon here. So really exciting stuff. They have been updating this more and more recently. We've gotten some very good changes for the friend summon banner. I think it is definitely something that all players should be partaking in this time around. So there's a couple of things I want to go over before we jump into the actual summons. The first thing that I wanted to mention is that they did put some guaranteed steps on the friend summon. This is the first time that they've done this. So they've made it to where, you know, not only are all of the 3 LRs, the 17 and 18, Great Saiyaman and the Hercule, are featured on there with a bunch of cool stuff like Kais and statues, just kind of like usual, but they've also made it so that the 10th character of the multi is going to be guaranteed featured character, or a Hercule statue of platinum or gold, because the Hercule statues aren't featured. It's just going to be like these guys. So we'll take a look at the featured list in a moment and just see. So yeah, that's basically all the information here. Let's go ahead and switch over to the game. And then let's open up this scouter, see actually who is featured, so we know how large the pool of characters is that we could potentially pull as that 10th unit in the slot. So here you can see we have an Elder Kai, and then we have each of the 5 types of Grand Kais. We have a Dozing Kai, and then the 3 LRs. Those are the only things featured on the banner. So that means that every single multi you do, you're going to be getting at least, but probably at least 1 Kai. I have seen videos of a couple other people doing polls on this, and it seems like the rates are decent. That's kind of what I want to show here, is that even if you don't get a Kai as you're guaranteed at the end of the multi, you're still probably going to get Kais in the multi. And then quite a heavy hand worth of Zenny as well, so that can be helpful. But then also I wanted to point out that if you are somebody who has any interest at all in collecting these cards, and you have not yet gone through the painstaking grind of summoning on this banner enough in order to get the copies of these characters that you need, now is your time to do it. Because as you hunt through and spend through all your Baba points, or your friend points, the very first thing is that these are in a guaranteed featured slot, so they're going to be as easy to pull. Oh no, my cord is being all wonky today. So yeah, they are as easy to pull as like Heroes units because they're just featured, right? So definitely would be wise to go ahead and try to pick these up now. Now, unfortunately for me, because of the insane free-to-play grind that I finished months ago at this point, where I went through every single free-to-play character in the game, and I made sure to get a 1 in every slot for every single one of those characters, that means, as you can see here, I only have enough friend points to do 30 multis on this, because I have previously gone through and drained all my friend points farming up copies of those cards. Because it was very common to go, 10 plus multis without ever seeing a copy of them. And I needed so many. So yeah, I only have a solid 600k, which is going to give us enough to do 30 multis on here. We are going to blow through all 30 multis in this video. But again, right before we do that, I did want to show you guys really quick. This right here is why I have no friend points. Because I did finish farming up all of these cards perfectly to their maximum, right? So we've got a 1 in every single slot for all of them. And then on top of that, all of them are at max SA, including the LRs. And I did all of these completely free to play. Which means I didn't use any Kais or anything. So for this LR right here, I had to farm up 3 copies of him as an LR, because one at the original SA10 with the dupe paths unlocked, then another one at SA10 to get him to SA20, and then another one at SA5 to get him to SA25. So I did that for all 3 of these. And then for the LR, I did the 2 copies, and then, so on down the line, we filled in all the SA that they needed. So I have pulled, like, I don't know, probably 100 copies of every single one of these at this point. Now, granted, the 2, the Great Saiyaman and the androids, you had no choice but to farm them up, because there's no other way to get those named characters in game. The Hercules were the one that I had a little bit of a better time with, because it seems like on the normal version of this friend summon banner, the way the drop rates work for these is the newer ones have better drop rates than the older ones. So it's like the Great Saiyaman, I was pulling the most. The Android 17 and 18, I was pulling a little bit less. And then the Hercules, I was actually pulling a lot less than the other 2, just because he was the original friend summon LR, right? So yeah, the reason why I was able to finish it off still, even with pulling much fewer copies of Hercule, is because he is a farmable card, right? So I could just use a different named unit in the game that's Hercule, and then just go farm it from a normal story event. I think I think the AGL one was the one that I used. Yeah, the base SSR of this guy. I farmed up a bunch of him to be able to feed in. So yeah, got all of those done. But the consequence now, obviously, is that I don't really have many friend points. So let's go ahead and jump through these 30 multis. We've been rambling for long enough. We still got a bit of a ways to get through, you know, to go in the video. We still got to get through all 30 of these multis here. We're just going to be like speed blitzing and clicking through everything, so we can get through all these multis as quick as possible. Oh, wow, God animation on the first multi. Okay. So yeah, there's a couple of curiosities I have. One is, what animations did they put? Right? Because they do have, like, a guaranteed feature thing going on. So, I mean, we already saw a God animation here. I wonder if there's going to be other types of, like, animations that we could see. Like, the actual LR animations that are on the normal banners. Because technically there are LRs on this banner. Okay. All right, perfect. So it looks like our first one, we got a guaranteed androids, but then, as you can see, we still got a Grand Kai and a Dozing Kai to pop in there, as well as a gold Hercule statue. So 3 of our other slots were actually, like, useful characters. That's pretty good. Okay, and then it looks like everything is awakened right now. So we are going to be, I assume, mostly pulling normals and rares like you would on this banner, but they're all just awakened to, like, rare and SR. I don't think there's many, like, actual character unit cards that I'm going to be able to use. I mean, I already showed you guys I can't do anything with any of those LRs. And then I also did, along the way, while I was collecting all of the LRs, I was smart enough to hang on to all of the, you know, rares and SSRs and stuff. And then all of these, like, normal cards that drop here. I have a 1 in every slot for all of these, basically. So they are dropping as a higher rarity right now. Okay, that wasn't as good. Just a couple Hercule statues. So yeah, they are dropping as a higher rarity right now, but like, as you can see, I have the normals done, and all the SA levels are basically done for all of these guys too. So, actually, like, this nail, I might be able to use him, just because there's a couple of SR nails where I had the SSR version of it fully SA10'd, but then there's a lot of summonable SRs that I'm still collecting the base SR. I have all of them collected at this point, but some of them that don't have farmable super attacks still need a couple more copies to be pulled in order for them to be SA10. So I think Nail is one of the named characters, just because there's like 3 different SRs in game that have, you know, Nail as the name, but then there's no way to farm it. So yeah, there might be random various little characters here and there that I can actually end up using as a super attack level. But for the most part, most of the units that are left in my box that don't have, you know, that aren't super attack 10, one are like TUR level characters, that, you know, don't have like a farmable super attack name. Like it's, you know, like Amandine Raisin or Diaz and Cacao, whatever, like where there's legitimately nothing else in the game with the exact same name. So there's no possible way you could even pull other units to do super attack farming. So those kind of units, and then the other units are World Tournament units. So there are quite a few World Tournament like rares and SRs that again have the same problem, right? With like Bandages and Pamput and Ranfan and Bunny Bulma and all of this, right? There's like 1 card in the game with that name. So if you're pulling any other cards besides that one, you're not going to be able to raise the super attack. You have to specifically pull that many copies of that character. And just because I have like hundreds and hundreds of units left in my box at like the TUR level that, you know, it's not even like the 2nd copy of that specific character I'm pulling, but like the 3rd, because I've already got the top copy that's Easy Aid, the unawakened copy at UR level, and then now I want to get like the awakened but uneasy aid copies. So yeah, in working on like some of those, there's a bunch of those sitting in my box that aren't SA10 yet. Again, if they don't have farmable super attack, but every iteration of every card that has a farmable super attack is fully done in my box. So yeah, I still don't actually have nearly enough Kais sitting in my box to like fully max out the SA of every unit that I have. There is actually still way too many. Maybe I could show it at the end of this video. We could go into my box and sort by super attack level, and then just go down and look at all the stuff that's below super attack 10. And you could kind of get a grasp for exactly how much of that I have left. But yeah, that is the hope eventually. Like, obviously I'm stockpiling Kais, and I don't waste them. I always, as they say, Dokkan responsibly, and free-to-play farm where I can, and then use Kais when I have to. So hopefully over time, well, man, if we're going to get more multis like that, that would be pretty good. 2 Kais in that one, and a really good Hercule statue as well. But yeah, if we're able to, you know, once we get to the point where we're basically mathematically winning in our box, because the number of super attack levels we have to raise is considerably less than the amount of Kais we have sitting in our box, then at that point I would just go ahead and Kai everything. And then from that point forward, it would be anytime something new comes into my box, it gets Kai'd immediately. Or again, if it's free to play farmable, I would still free to play farm to make sure that we are continuously building up more and more Kais over time. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get to that point soon enough. Banners like this coming around should help. Obviously, we're getting a decent boost to the amount of Kais here. Nice, that was another decent multi. 2 dozing Kais there, we'll take it, we'll take it. Oh, I actually forgot to mention, so, yeah, one other little bit of a blunder that kind of messed me up. So, when I originally decided to go and collect all of the rares and, like, normals off of this banner, I was doing it during the anniversary. I believe it was during the 9th anniversary that I decided to do it. It was last year. Obviously, the banner wasn't quite as good during the 9th anniversary. We still did have all of the, like, Hercule and androids and stuff featured on here, and then obviously you were still pulling Kais and a lot more Zenny statues throughout your multis. That was, like, common practice of what was happening during that time. That's usually what we can expect to happen during these upgraded anniversary friend summon banners. But then, yeah, they were doing the same thing where all the units that were popping were awakened already. So I was trying to collect all of the normals on the banner, but the problem was they were all dropping as rares, so I couldn't actually collect a single copy of the normals during the anniversary. So I went and farmed up the max, you know, awakenings I could of the rares. Oh no, my cord again. Holy moly. Okay, let me unplug all of these and then replug them in, just so that they're not, like, sitting there fishy. I will pause summoning for the moment so we get this worked out. Okay, there we go. I went ahead and 180'd all of my cords. I'm on all iPhones, so I've got a bunch of lightning cables with adapters and stuff. So I went ahead and just pulled them all out and flipped them around so that if they're stronger connected this way, we won't have that issue again. Okay. Another Kai here. But yeah, so, you know, you were still getting a lot of the same units, but they were awakened the way that they are now. So it was really hard for me to collect, like, all of the normals. I was getting, like, a couple of them here and there, but it wasn't... there were still a lot of them that I needed to collect the normals. So I waited for the anniversary to end, and then I went and collected the remainder of the units that I needed. I still had a bunch of... So, like, you know, let's say, like, that Tech Yamcha, right? I didn't have the normal for him, but I had, like, 15 of his rares sitting there. So I was just leaving those in my box. And then once I pulled the normal, I would just go fully fill out the super attack and then erase the rest of the copies. And then now I had the normal done as well, right? So I went and did that for all of the units. And then I realized that when I was done and I had fed in all the copies of everything sitting in my box, and I was just basically completely done with the whole normal journey, and I had collected all of the normals in the game, I went and deleted the other hundreds of copies that were just duplicates that were sitting in there. Those all went to Baba. And then I realized that for some reason, one of two things happened. Either during the 9th anniversary friend summons, when they had the upgraded banner, for some reason, they removed the Red Ribbon Soldiers, so you weren't actually pulling any copies of the Red Ribbon Soldiers while you were summoning on those banners, which is really weird, because obviously the Cybermen still dropped, the Cell Juniors still dropped, the Frieza Soldiers still dropped, but then for some reason the Red Ribbon Soldiers weren't there. Either that, or I made a big blunder myself, because what I ended up realizing, like maybe more than a month later after the anniversary ended, was that I thought I had collected all the normals, but for some reason I had all my Red Ribbon Soldiers done up here, but I had none of the normals collected. So I don't know if that meant that I thought I had farmed up the normal copies and then I ended up just bobbing the hundreds of copies I pulled, or if it meant that for some reason the Red Ribbon Soldiers were not on that version of the banner, so I didn't pull any of them. So when I was going and removing all the characters, I just never even noticed. But regardless, that meant that I had to go and do a solid maybe 150 more friend summons after the anniversary ended in order to pull all of the normal, you know, Red Ribbon Soldiers that I needed and free-to-play farm those ones. So that was another, like, grueling grind that sucked, you know, hundreds of thousands of friend points away from me. So yeah, that's why I'm sitting here only being able to do 30 multis. It really would be nice to be able to do 100 multis. You know, also that's the other thing, right? Is like I have completely like drained my Baba points at multiple points over time. Obviously, like, you know, we've had the advantage on the global version of the game. Are you kidding me? Look at this multi. Look at this multi. That's so much Zenny. And a Kai, the best Kai you can get. Wow, that was really good. But yeah, like I had, you know, so every year for the anniversary, I think since like the third or fourth, and I think it was maybe the fourth anniversary. No, it would have been the third. Really funny stuff. Here's how I'm remembering this. I'm really bad when I think back on my life at remembering years and things like that, and like what stuff came out in what years. So usually all I can do is link it to something I was doing in my life at that time, and then I can kind of usually remember like what year it was or whatever, right? So back when I was working, I have a very vivid memory of seeing the news for the anniversary friend summon, being the upgraded friend summon that we get, where, you know, Kais are added to the banner and stuff, and it's all special and whatever. The very first time they did that, I remember that I was inside Old Spaghetti Factory, because I worked there at the time. And that was prior to an arcade job that I had. And I remember specifically during the third anniversary, I was at that arcade job, and I made a friend that also played Dokkan in real life. It was the first IRL friend I had that played Dokkan, and we did our third anniversary summons at a Sonic. Shout out to Sonic. And I remember that was after, because that was the next job I had after working at the Old Spaghetti Factory. So then that had to be before. So they released the very first one of these prior to the third anniversary of the game. Really roundabout way of getting there, but that is how I do those things. That is how I figure those things out, funny enough. Okay, so, but yeah, so these have been in the game for a very long time. There's been, you know, I guess I would assume if they've been an annual thing, then maybe there's been about 8 different opportunities to drain all your friend points and stuff on these banners. But that's only been true on the global version of the game, because obviously the JP version historically has just never gotten these special upgraded friend summon banners until very recently, right? Until, I believe it was the 9th anniversary when they permanently updated the friend summon to have Kais on it. Obviously they're not guaranteed featured or anything, but that upgraded banner did come to the JP version last year, and has been on both versions of the game for the last year. So that is pretty good. But yeah, because there's been so many instances of like opportunities to drain all of our points, I have been doing that. And you know, this is the first time that they're actually releasing just one version of the banner. Usually what they do is they release 2 versions of it. So they'll give you one that is available with the 20,000 points, and then one that's only available with the 2,000 points still, just like normal, even though it has the upgraded stuff on it. Your rates just aren't as good for pulling them. The rates were tuned down on those ones so much, it usually wasn't worth doing those pulls, and it was just worth doing these 20,000 pulls. You would end up getting more. Like, if you were to do 10 of the other ones to equal 20,000, your rewards still wouldn't be as good as doing one of the 20,000 on average. So yeah, people were doing, like, you would typically choose to do the 20,000 point multis. But yeah, basically draining my friend points once per year on these banners just means that I don't ever accumulate enough again to do like a massive wall of summons and stuff, right? I can only link levels so fast, guys. And obviously we've built up a lot very quickly. That's only going to get, you know, probably quicker over time. Right now, you know, the link level stage that we're running is 35.6, and it takes us a solid 1 minute, and that's about it to get through that stage. So it's really not too bad. You know, not too bad of a grind. We're able to get a lot of friend points very quickly. And we haven't even just been grinding that stage for this year. There have been other stages, but if we start this next year off just doing this stage, and there's no new stage that comes out, you know, that's better than it or something, I mean, and even if there is, it's likely that it won't take, like, longer to get through, right? Because right now we're doing 1 fight against 5 enemies, and for a little bit of time I was using Piccolo Jr. As my friend lead, but the problem is none of the units that I'm link leveling now are on his leader skill, so all of the units that I were using in one of these brand new quest stages were actually getting KO'd a lot. having only the 1 leader skill. So I was only able to do that for a little while, and then I had to stop using the Piccolo Jr. friend, which means now I'm just manually super attacking through the 5 units that you have to beat in the one fight. So it's not quite as quick. I was doing it in like under 30 seconds with the Piccolo Jr. strat, but now it's a little bit longer. It's like just over a minute. But yeah, so that's how like the Link level stages go for me these days. But yeah, so I'm able to accumulate a lot of friend points pretty quickly. That was a really good multi, too. We had, like, 4 Kais in there. 3 of them Grand and then 1 Dozing. I suppose I should have showed off, like, how many Kais I had and stuff at the start of the video, so that we could have seen, like, how many I earned over the course of the video. But it's fine. It's all in video here. You guys are getting the point. I would assume that if anyone has actually clicked on this video and they're watching it, you're, 1, either not fully paying attention and just using this as like a podcast in the back of your grinding, or 2, you're already doing the summons along with me, so you're probably seeing for yourself how amazing the drop rates are for these Kais and stuff. Whew, oh my goodness. Okay, we've been in for 20 minutes. I am starting to feel it, the 20 minutes of constant talking. Definitely, I need some water. Okay. I guess I can, how many summons do we have left? 10 more, okay. I guess I can let you guys in on this little, tidbit. I have another video coming out. I don't know if it's good, it's probably gonna come out after this one, to be honest. But I am actually fostering someone else's Dokkan account right now. I'll talk more about, like, the details of it in that video, that I make showing off the account and stuff. But yeah, so I am currently double grinding Dokkan right now in the other account that I am using. I'm going through the Dokkan All-Star EZA. It's an account that's already had a lot of progress. It's someone's account that they've been playing for basically since the game came out. They just haven't been playing super consistently, and they haven't. They're definitely not caught up on all the content. So I am grinding away for them at the moment. But yeah, the All-Star EZA is usually the thing I throw on when I'm like busy doing other stuff at the same time, because then I don't have to pay as much attention to the screen or what's going on in the game. But yeah, so I've got that going on the side. I think I might actually record a video showing off this account like after we're finished with this here. Just got a few more summons to get through. Nice. So I think so far we've only had like 1 or 2 multis that didn't have any Kais at all in it. And I believe one of those multis. Oh, well, no, actually that one did. I was thinking of that multi where we had like 8 Hercule statues. But we even did get an Elder Kai at the end of that one. So even that multi had a Kai in it. Yeah, I think there's only been like 2. Pretty sure just 2 multis without a Kai. Maybe I've missed one or something over time. But yeah, the drop rates for this have never been better. This is insane. One thing that we can look at, because I definitely wasn't paying attention to it, is how many copies of those SSRs, or like the LRs that we got in here. We'll definitely go take a look at that. We'll go see how many Hercules, how many androids, and how many Great Saiyaman we pulled. Just because I think that is another relevant part, right? Like, these units are not usable anymore. They're pretty bad in the meta. Like, I would say at most, you might be able to get away with squeezing them onto, like, an Ultimate Clash team. You know, a lot of times, especially newer players or players that haven't been playing for, like, years and years and years and just have, like, 1,000 cards Dokkan Awakened and stuff, you might still struggle a little bit with your team building in Ultimate Clash. And I know something that I wanted to do as soon as I had the ability to do it was stop using 120% leads and be able to actually make more subdivided category teams within whatever typing. You know, so if you're trying to build like a Terrifying Conquerors build or like an Androids build or something like that for your extreme AGL side of things, then you might actually have to depend on using this Android card just because there aren't that many cards in the game that you have to choose from at this point. So this might actually make like the top 6 best at that point. So yeah, I think that the Ultimate Clash, these units definitely still can find a little bit of a home. They are super outdated. Like, take them into a red zone stage and you'll see what I mean immediately, right? They just get absolutely clapped. They're not good at all anymore, but you might be able to get away with it. I think especially the androids over the other 2, you really might be able to get away with running on like an extreme AGL setup for Clash. But yeah, aside from actually using them there, You know, they're just cool for collection purposes. They're a really random, rare unit. One, it doesn't cost any stamina to get them, other than, you know, obviously farming their awakening medals and stuff, but that's a different story. But they are essentially free. You know, if you've got all these friend points sitting here, then you might as well be attempting to gain, you know, the cards. And I think some people, I would assume, some people over time had seen that they existed and attempted to get them on the Friend Summon banner, quickly realized how shit the rates were to pull the characters, and then went, never mind, I am definitely not going to sit here and spend all of my time, you know, summoning through all these crap units just to try and earn more crap units. And then, especially on top of that, I can imagine there's not a lot of players that have the thousands of extra box space sitting around where they can just completely drain all of their friend points like this. They probably would have to take constant breaks in order to, you know, sell all the rares and stuff like that. It is worth noting, though, with the amount of Kais and Zenny statues that we're pulling in every one of these multis, we're actually filling up our box space at a much lower rate, because the Kais and Zenny statues don't go into your box the way that they historically did. I don't know if anybody, well, I mean, obviously some players are old enough to know this, but I'm sure there's a lot of newer players that don't as well. But yeah, that's the way it used to work. Kais and Hercule statues used to take up box space, as they are character cards. They didn't used to have that separate cell tag that's like, you know, other units all the way off to the back of your box. It literally used to just be like, they took up box space. They were mixed among your characters. You would sort by int, and then you would see all your Elder Kais sitting there. So yeah, that was like a horrible thing. But it was also good incentive for players to actually use these resources and max out their characters so that they had more room for more characters, instead of just stockpiling thousands of them. But obviously, especially with Hercule statues and the way that EZA stages go these days, some people have, like, you know, 20,000 of those statues. There's no conceivable way that you could expect people to hold their box space based on, like, whatever amount of statues and Kais they have. But yeah, so like in this multi, for example, we literally got 5 units that are just Kais and statues. So we only added 5 units to our box space instead of 10. Okay, very last multi here. And then we'll go look over at the box. I guess we can go take... I really should have showed it at the beginning of the video. That was a huge blunder on my part. I absolutely should have showed how many, you know, Kais and statues we had and stuff. But we can still go take a glance at it. I usually don't have, like, any copies of the Grand Kais and the Dozing Kais. I use the Dozing Kais first if they're there or available, and then once I've depleted those, I go on to Grand Kais and then on to Elder Kais. So I'm usually pretty much wholly out of Grand Kais and Dozing Kais. That was not what I meant to click. Okay. Go over to the end here and see. In the cell tab. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I think I still had a couple of each of these sitting. I don't think we got quite that many in the 30 multis, but definitely some of each. All 43 of these, or just about all 43 of these, definitely would have been there. And then, yeah, it's kind of pointless looking at the statues. There's no conceivable way of knowing where I was at prior, and compared to where I'm at now. But, oh, nice, we got back up over 500 Elder Kais. That's good, that's good. But yeah, believe it or not, I still don't have nearly enough Kais to get through everything that I need to. But there we go, and then I'll go ahead and quickly double check how many of the Hercules we got and stuff. Here, let's go like this. Let's go SR. Okay, so we pulled 7 Hercules, and then 4 of the androids, and of the Great Saiyaman, only 2 of those. Okay, so we didn't get an insane amount. That was, what, like 4, 2, 7... So we got 13 copies over 30 multis. So obviously it could be better. It's also worth noting that I don't think we got a single copy of any one of them that wasn't in the guaranteed featured slot. So it looks like their rates are still pretty low. Their rates to pull are definitely still much lower than like the Kais and the Zenny statues. So you're going to be getting a lot more of that as you go through there. But I will say, it is nice not to have to, you know, just farm for as long or do as many multis. Because here's the thing. On the normal version of the banner where you can do the 2,000 point summons, I think if you were to do 10 multis... Well, okay, so what would that have been? 90 multis, because we did... Or, no. It would have been... I guess you just multiply it by 10, right? So 300. It would have been 300 multis. I think if you did 300 multis on the normal friend summon banner, you would have more than 13 copies of these units overall. So I think the grand conclusion is, actually, if you're looking to hunt specifically for those cards, then maybe wait until after the anniversary and do the cheaper version of the summons. Or is it still live, actually? Did they change it, or can you still... Yeah, you can still do the original version of the summon. So if you're specifically looking to pull the copies of these cards, I don't think this is actually a better deal. I think you're probably going to be getting more of them on this version of the banner, but then obviously, as we just saw, you're going to be getting a way heightened amount of Kais and statues on this one. So if you just want to casually try and pull some of the copies of these, if you don't care about using Kais on them and you just want to get like 5 copies to be able to rainbow them and then just feed in the SA25 through Kais and stuff, that could be a smart way to do it too. And obviously a lot of people aren't going to be collecting like the one in every slot. You just need to get the top copy of the character. So that could be pretty, easy enough for you to do. I'm basically halfway done doing that already. Just with what we pulled here today in the 30 multis. So yeah, hopefully that breaks it down for you guys a little further, and you're able to determine whether it's worth a while or not for you to do these summons. I say it's worth for everybody. Obviously, when we're considering the character collecting portion, that is such a small percentage of the community. I am just talking to my peers, right? Of people who play the game in a similar facet that I do. But for the most part, I would say everybody should jump in here and drain all of your friend points. It's so worth it for the resources. Tons of free Zenny, tons of free Kais. Jump in there and get it done. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. That's going to do it for this one, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.